For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cavil's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Cavil's Voice, Cavil's Voice, CavilsVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them,
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we have none other than Mo Carter, Fox 54 Sports, bringing us up there from Huntsville in Alabama. Heard there's a game being played this week representing a team out of the greater Huntsville, Alabama area, Alabama A&M. We might get to talk about it a little bit today. With that being said, welcome to episode 326 Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insight and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. All eyes on Texas this weekend, I just believe. Should be intriguing. Maybe we'll get in a little bit about that too and ask Mo his thoughts on all things. And then I know he got a piece of eye, at least one eye, heading down there just underneath Alabama in the state of Florida, called Tallahassee area. Big game down there as well. So yeah, it's some things going on. And that's not even including what's going on in the SIAC, CIAA. MEAC as well got a couple of big games. We talked about some of that on Tuesday. We'll bring it back. With that being said, let me ask Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Like you said, all eyes should be on Texas this weekend. We got a nice doubleheader Friday and Saturday World Series here. You got the Texas playing tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on over here this weekend. So it's a fun time to be a sports fan here in the city of Houston.
Breaking news, if you ain't heard it now, the game here at PNC Park between Jackson State coming in as the visitor and Texas Southern Tigers is officially sold out. So, hey, you're going to get your tickets. That means you're going to have to go pay some upper room prices, because that means the scalpers might have some people that for one reason bought their ticket early and can't go now. Maybe they got tickets to the Astro game because you got to do the World Series. Park will be a fool. So you better get there early. So that's going on as well. But with that being said, let me ask Mo Carter, how you doing today?
Hey, Dr. Cavil, I'm doing good, man. Just in a really, really busy portion of my sports calendar where we are, really getting into the nitty-gritty of the college football season with all the different teams I cover up here in the state of Alabama. And then we've got the high school football playoff starting on tomorrow. Basketball is really starting to, kick up with whatever bunch of exhibitions going on right now, and we got a bunch of other sports going on just in general. And then coming up this week, shameless plug, I actually have to travel down to Tuskegee. I'll be a part of the ESPN Plus broadcast for their contest against Miles College in what should be a pretty good game as Coach Reginald Ruffin takes on his former team.
Man, that's good. Congratulations for being a part of that cast there, getting down there. I have to tune in just to check that to see, make sure I support the voice. Coming in from Mo Carter, getting it done like that. Yeah, I've been working on that for a little while. Nice surprise. We got another guy in here that's we putting up to see if we can get him in the mix on that too as well. So that's a good thing to hear that some of these HBCU longtime aficionados are getting a chance to get behind the mic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Looking forward to it, Mo.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah. 1 p.m. kickoff down there at Tuskegee, which it's homecoming for the Golden Tigers, but it's a true homecoming because they haven't played any home games this year because they have been installing a brand new field with the turf. And I even found this out for Coach Reginald Ruffin. Not just the field is brand new, they got a brand new shed that got installed this past week too.
Oh, wow.
And if anybody they got a new shed. So y'all gonna have to tune in or have to take a look at some of my social media for some of these pictures.
In the shed, that should be something to be seen. Glad that you broke and shared that news with us, Coach Ruffin, getting it done as the AD as well. OP continues to go out in terms of his football coaching road in style, because he certainly has done it for the West Division. Needs to put that little final bow on it, going back up against his former team, Miles College Golden Bears, not playing so well, so it can be done. But, anything goes in those rivalry matchups. So great point there. Charles, a lot of news out there on the business side. Anything you want to jump to that catches you before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, let's jump right into it. And this news is coming from Jackson, Mississippi, but they were taking a look at the economic impact of the past 2 weekends with regards to Jackson State playing football. So one of the stories on HBCU Game Day, but Jackson State University generated 2 back-to-back winning weekends for the city of Jackson and the university as it celebrated its homecoming and the Boombox Classic. So Visit Jackson officials estimated that the economic impact to the city was $8.9 million and $4.4 million respectively for both Jackson State events. So that's huge.
Yeah, a little over $13 million in 2 weekends. That's not a bad payday if you're the city. make sure y'all giving back to the program and
That's
university
it.
to help you develop it now.
Precisely.
Sure as they would say in the African American black churches, pay your tithes, pay your tithes. Make sure you
there it is. Exactly.
Great point. You know I love the business of sport, as we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy, because that's the business and what we're in. Mo, anything hot out there? I know you snuck one in there, and I like that because that was bright news, and I didn't even have that one yet. So anything else that you want to share that just on your mind in terms of HBCU sports news that's out there?
Well, I mean, obviously, there are just so many things just going on just in general. Of course, I'm pretty sure you guys probably touched on it, how the University of the Virgin Islands is, becoming a new member of the GCAC coming up or whatever. So, for all those teams in that conference, hey, you get a nice trip to a very, very nice place in certain instances. But I really, really am proud of that HBCU for basically kind of connecting with the other HBCUs or whatever from an athletic standpoint. So I think that's great. And then here in Huntsville, they're kind of having the farewell to Elmore Gym tour, in which Alabama A&M will be playing their final couple of games at Elmore Gym before they move into the brand new facility sometime in the month of December and no later than the beginning of conference play. I've got a chance to step inside of it one time. It is definitely state of the art. Well done. And obviously Huntsville is an engineering type city, so you can definitely tell that they put a lot of money into it and put their foot forward with it, and looking forward to seeing what these basketball games in Huntsville are going to look like with a spectacular venue. But in the meantime, they're going to pay homage to Elmore Gym with a few games or whatever. Matter of fact, there's an exhibition tonight. Coach Otis Hughley and his team taking on Oakwood, and I know next week they take on the University of North Alabama. So, definitely pay attention to stuff I'll be posting, and you'll be able to see what we got going down with that.
Mm-hmm. Nice one, man. He brought it into the stadium, in the arena. Very nice state of art. I like the fact that they're going to play a couple of old games to close out Elmore Gym, a lot of history there, and then move over. Fascinating when you talk about it. And then you got to be careful with Charles, because Charles likes to tell folks that the football season is over right now, so they need to start preparing for basketball. So it's kind of unfair that you shifted that like that, because Charles is going to use that for a lot of these programs down there. But hey, you're just telling the news. That's all it is. You can't control the rest of it. But great points you make there when you talk about the basketball season. It's going to be a good one as well, both on the men's and women's side for the SWAC.
Plus, I got to add this too, man. Hey, I got to add this. I'm in the state of Alabama. Football season never ends here, man.
All right, exactly.
Football season never ends in this state.
Never ends.
That is quite appropriate, certainly in Alabama and throughout the South. That makes a lot of sense when you talk about that. It's going to be fascinating when you say that. Charles, any other news you want to get to? I would throw out there before we touch on it is some attendance news. Top 8 programs in terms of attendance features at least an HBCU program. This is courtesy of HBCU Game Day, so you continue to show those numbers. Fascinating when you talk about it in that mix. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, actually, that's actually what I was going to get into in terms of this is according to the NCAA.com, as I pull the article back up here again, Dr. Bill. But according to the NCAA database, 8 HBCU football matchups were amongst the highest fan attended this past season. We started off the Magic City Classic, which comes in at number 1, 67,000. Then Prairie View versus Grambling. That game was played in Dallas. That game had 53,000. Followed by Southern at Jackson State, 53,885. Campbell at Jackson State, 51,596, which was their homecoming. And coming in at number 5 was the Southern Heritage Classic, Jackson State at Tennessee, Jackson State versus Tennessee State, 51,351. And then, the number 6 highest attended game is FAMU versus Jackson State Orange Blossom Classic. Not to be outdone, North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central had 35,000 at that game. And Howard and Morehouse in East Rutherford, New Jersey, that game had 35,042 fans. So HBCU football is at an all-time high with regards to the frenzy around and the fervor around HBCU football. But these are some of the games that were the highest attended this past season thus far. We still got some more games out there.
Yeah, still got the Bayou Classic.
Still got the Bayou.
Still got the Florida Classic that you're sure doesn't put up those 50 type numbers you imagine, if not getting into the 60s. So be fascinating fill out their last 10. I did want to go back as you talked about University of Virgin Islands and the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference to kind of tell you a backstory to this. And y'all have heard this off the record, but just to share with some of the folks, I've been pushing for this, and y'all have heard me talk about going to the Caribbean, whether it's to the Bahamas or the Virgin Islands, about them being connected to some HBCU conferences. Took this in terms of SIEC, couldn't quite get it to fruition there. And Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, even before she became the full-time, kind of talked about it. And she took that nugget, and before you knew it, as she became the full-time commissioner of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, she said, hey, I heard what you said, listen to it. And she went to work. And, you know, obviously I was looking at the bookend, the partnership with a travel partner when you talk about basketball in a lot of ways with the University of Bahamas. Because I tell everybody in terms of when you go to that campus, you feel HBCU, but obviously it's not a U.S. territory. So one of the issues you have in there with the NCAA is the accreditation. They have a different accreditation in terms of what you look at in terms of the United States. So that's one of the concerns, even though they looked at that. So if they can ever get that taken care of about being able to get that conferred, whether in NAIA or NCAA, don't be surprised if you see the University of Bahamas finding a way to be incorporated in terms of a HBCU conference, maybe even the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. So kind of wanted to tie that in there. Before we do that, let's get into our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into the marching sport. Now, Mo Carter, I know you've seen the show. You've heard about the marching sport. But for others that come in and join, just to rename it, just to make sure, so as you and I ask you your opinion, that you're clear on the rules of engagement. This is not a fan poll. You know, we got some great fan polls out there. But folks get out there and say, hey, what's your thoughts on this poll? People get in the message board, the text message, emails, come in there and tell their fans. This is about matchups. You got to participate in matchups. This is a head-to-head. They call it HBCU. They call it the marching sport. Anything that I know about a sport, Mo, you cover sport. You know sports. There's a winner and a loser. Yeah, we understand soccer that there's some ties. We're not talking about that because even ties, they have penalty kicks now. They don't even like ties in soccer. Right? There is
you're right.
And a loser, right? Winner and a loser. So when we come back, when they see the top 10, winner and the loser. And there's a change at the top. So stick with us so we get back to you. We're going to do the top 10 poll rankings in terms of marching sport, the bands, HBCU bands, and see what you say. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cavil's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Cavil's Voice, Cavil's Voice, CavilsVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
On Saturday.
You're backed up.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington's out on assignment. And we've been joined by the professor, clinical professor, A.D. Drew. Obviously, you see, we had a Professor Carter. Mo, Carter, you ever been a lecturer? You been on the adjunct circuits out there?
I've been on adjunct on here. As far as being a substitute teacher or anything, not particular, but here's a little quick tidbit or whatever. Before I actually got into the broadcasting field, I actually was a full-time teacher my first year coming out of school, and then I ended up getting hired at a local television station. So, I do have a teaching background, plus both my parents are teachers as well. So, if none of this broadcasting stuff ever works out, I guess I can always fall back on the teaching circuit.
There you go. That's what it is. And we'll get you, and we're going to get you up right. We're going to throw you right in the water. Professor Wise, we're going to put on your jacket. We're going to tell you how it goes in the adjunct. If you did a little teaching K through 12, you should be all right. Just be careful because the students will be real quiet. You got to engage them. You got to make sure that they understand. And make sure you're on time as an adjunct. They're going to give you 15 minutes and they rolling. So that's
I remember them days
15.
As a student.
We only gave them 10 when I was in school.
Yeah, that's right. We gave them 10.
Doctors got 15. Professors got 10.
There you go. So you got 10 minutes. So make sure you have a good parking space and come a little early so you can zoom right in your room. So we got you. We'll teach you all about this professor side of things. It's not as bad as you teaching us how to do the media side of it. So share and share alike. Let's get into the top 10 for the marching sport. Without further ado, that's what everybody wants to see. Let's look at it in terms of the teams dropping out of the bands, marching bands dropping out. We got 2 of them this week for lack of performance in terms of marching sport. Now, some of this is not their fault. It's not that they haven't performed at halftime, because I heard North Carolina A&T did a great homecoming, greatest homecoming on earth. They showed out. Problem was the competition happened not to be an HBCU, and I can't have you doing marching sport against a non-HBCU and think because you beat this other group over here that I'm excited. That's not my fault. You made that choice. We'll live with it. You better get high enough rankings so you can last for a while. You last over half the season, so that's pretty good. Speaking of another program, it didn't get it done like that, and they didn't make the road trip to support their Tennessee State Aristocrat bands. Probably out as well. Tough. But they are receiving votes. Let's get into the receiving votes. North Carolina A&T blue and gold marching machine. At number 12, they're receiving votes. They got another chance. Norfolk State, man, my understanding, they're supposed to make it. But the problem is, Norfolk State squads are not so comfortable about way the football team is playing right now, but they feeling really good about the band, and they said they're not taking 2 L's. So we'll see what that means. We will test it out. We will have people there viewing in Grady to tell me who is the winner of that matchup. With that being said, we also have Edward Waters, the Tigers, marching band, 1-0 on the season, conference-wise as well. Tennessee State Aristocrat bands, they do come in at number 8 as they're getting done. Let's get in the top 10 where it really gets interesting. See what's going on in that. At number 10, you have Albany State marching Rams, the show band, 3-1, 3-0. They beat up on Savannah State. The rival there got it done. And now they're getting ready to come up with the Fountain City Classic against Fort Valley State. So they get a chance to make another statement. They might get you up a little bit if they can get it done against Fort Valley State. But the rival, we'll see. Fort Valley says they'll have something to say, both on the football field during the game as well as halftime. 0 quarter, 5th quarter, we shall see. Bringing us to number 9, Florida A&M marching 100, 1-1 on the season. Man, it's tough to see just the great band not even participate and support the team in terms of other bands getting on the road. I just don't know. But this week, Southern travels. Southern will get on the road, so they'll get the chance to have a matchup. Hopefully they don't take the second L like they did last year when Alabama State came down and surprised everybody. It took a little bit of house. They took the L, but it was close to a major upset. Southern wants to rebound, it sounds like, from what happened last week in Jackson, Mississippi. That's a little hint. At number 8, though, Bethune-Cookman marching Wildcats, 2-0, 16 points. State, they drop a spot from number 7. Bringing us to number 7 is Alcorn State, the Sounds of Dynamite band. 2-3, 2-2 on the season. They dropped a spot after a tough loss to Grambling. They got it done on the field and off. Took the L's. Number 6, Texas Southern Ocean of Soul, 2-3 on the season, 2-2. They didn't play because they had a Division II program, but We're seeing if the Sonic Boom is going to make a surprise occurrence. They like those sold out places, so they might be there. We might get a right? They seem to get it done. We'll see what this looks like. Ocean of Soul says they're ready. They want some competition. They say they don't want to take 2 L's. If they can't get it done on the football field, they say they're going to have some repercussions in terms of what happens 0 quarter, 5th quarter, and halftime. We'll see what that means.
It's repercussions or percussions?
Hey, I got a question since you're talking about the Ocean of
Hold
Soul.
on, let me get the top 5. Let me get the top 5.
Okay.
Let me get through the top 5. See, y'all got to be careful. I know y'all get excited. Y'all got these folks typing in it. I want to get in here. Be careful. This is the marching sport. Y'all get too excited. Y'all think y'all going to vote? That's not what this is. We're going to let you talk. At number 5, Albany State Marching Rams Show Band is in here at number 5. Is Prairie View A&M marching. Storm 3-1, 2-1 on the season, 68 points. They stay at number 5. They need some competition or they're going to fall out. Bringing us to number 4, North Carolina Central Sound Machine Marching Band. They took on the band a couple of weeks ago, so they stay at number 4. I'm not sure how many more matchups they have, so they might fall out of that top 5 because they just don't march and travel in the MEAC. So it'll be interesting to see, can they hold on to it, even if they are undefeated? We'll see what that looks like. Bringing us to number 3. This is where some change happened. Southern falls from number 1. Man, it was a tough weekend. Shutout on the football field. Shutout on the band, losing the 0 quarter. Hell, they had a matchup on Friday night. They said they lost that too. Lost halftime. Lines wasn't quite there. You got folks taking extra pictures to make sure people know that y'all out of line. That's tough. Y'all expectations are high. And then in the 5th quarter, a lot of that wasn't at fault. You had the rain delay. People had to leave, didn't want to leave, shut out. So I didn't really judge you that hard on the 5th quarter. It is what it is. Bringing us to number 2. Who is number 2 this week in terms of the band? Jackson State Sonic Boom that took down Jackson State Jukebox. They go up a spot, 5-1, 4-1. At number 3, remember they took that early leg. They won, lost. Happens to be to what? The number 1 team. The number 1 team this week, surprising everybody, getting some love. I know y'all expectations are all up there that it's only supposed to be FAMU, Southern, or Jackson State. Sometimes y'all got to understand. Y'all got to perform. And when you don't perform at your best, somebody else can knock your block off. That's in the home. So Alabama State Mighty Marching Hornets, 4-0, 2-0 as they got it done against Alabama A&M's marching band in the Magic City Classic. As they stay undefeated, they get there. Now the problem is where are they going to go the rest of the season? As you're going to have a matchup this weekend, I said, with Southern and FAMU, that can get one of those teams back in the mix. In Jackson State, they're going to have to travel because they're going to get a couple of extra games. If you think about them getting to the SWAC championship game, that might help them as well, be able to continue to fight and showcase. And then if they get the SWAC championship game, they get to go to Celebration Bowl. But there's somebody in the West that's going to say not so fast. So we'll see. That's a little ahead of ourselves. Let's see what's going on here. Since Mo was so excited about it, I'm going to let Mo start it off. He says he got something to say. Mo, what you got to say?
So look, obviously this has nothing to do with the rankings just in general. The question I had was, okay, I know Jackson State travels down to Houston to take on Texas Southern. We've already mentioned that game is sold out. So in the stadium that they play in, obviously, you know, it's not the biggest stadium in the world since it's a soccer stadium, whatever. I know the sidelines are kind of real steep and shallow. So like, anybody have an idea where these bands are going to be at between Jackson State and Texas Southern on Saturday? Yes,
Upper
Mr.
deck.
Bishop.
Upper deck, I believe.
Yeah, they put them in the upper deck. Texas Southern always sits in the upper deck. The first year they sat below, and then they made the change. They go to the upper deck. If you were looking at the football field, you would think about the 20, if you would, 20 to the 10, sit in the upper deck, and usually the visiting team sits in the same direction on the opposite side, so it'll be cat a corner with them blowing against each other. That's usually
and we're for sure that somebody didn't come around and buy those tickets or whatever the way you had to move the band somewhere else, huh?
That's up to Charles. Charles won't tell me. So I don't know if they're going to sneak in there and march up there. Charles controls the band. I don't know what type of checks he writing down there. Then he got a line brother that's a drum major, so I don't know. They write the check. They determine when the band travels and not. They put the check in the bucket. So I don't know. They might not even show up. It ain't. I don't know. That's Charles.
I have heard, Dr. Cavil, they will be making the trip over here to Houston this weekend. So I'm looking forward to, I guess, what it will be a number 2 versus number 6 matchup with the Boom going against the Ocean of Soul. So you know my parameters.
On football, top 10 matchup on the marching spot. Before I go back to you, Charles, and get your finishing thoughts on this, Jazzy Face says Alabama State. I guess they still ain't SWAC though. Oh, that was pretty good. I like that. Hey, that's right. They won. They ain't worried about celebrating. They won the Magic City Trophy in the trophy. They want to let everybody know they are SWAC. I tell you, man. See, you've been in since '82. You good, Charles? Go ahead.
Well, you know my parameters every week, Dr. Cavil. Can the band become 12th man for the football team? Do they bring that extra juice? Do they bring that extra energy? So they can't bring that energy if they're not on the road now. So not only do you have that 0 quarter, but you got your halftime, you got what you're doing in the stands. You got to be able to house a crowd for me to appreciate what you're doing. So if they are able to steal momentum, that's huge for a band for me. So that's where I shoot you up the pole.
I appreciate it. Edward D. Moore, he a little upset. Your poll lost credibility this week. No, Southern Valley will not be traveling. What? They not traveling?
Oh, no.
They still can't be number 1. You ain't going to travel.
Yeah, there was some talk about that in the alumni group.
FAMU, you talking about Western Division up the state? FAMU trying to stay undefeated in conference, other than that first loss they had since those win streaks they had, and trying to maybe position themselves for the playoff, and they not on the road. Charles, you heard that? I see your face. I don't get it.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think the Juke will be there.
Yeah, they just quiet sneaking in the back door. They're going to surprise everybody. Let me go to AD Drew. He's been patient over the wait. Let me get his thoughts in terms of what's going on down here.
Doc, you said something earlier. There's repercussions for those who do not show up. Is it repercussions or is it percussions for those who don't show up? You know,
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. And I'm like, Charles, this is a pet peeve of mine. I think it should be mandated within these conferences that you have to show up to at least one road game outside of your class. You know, everybody goes to their classes.
I like it.
I think everybody needs, at least in the MEAC, can you give me, because MEAC only depends on the schedule. You're either going to have 2 or 3 home games. Do your classic, give me 1 on the road. SWAC, you could probably mandate 2 in the SWAC because they usually have 4 home games. But these bands have got to travel. And one team that you had receiving votes, Edward Waters, they're okay in as far as on the football field, but as far as in a basketball arena, I know we haven't got to that portion of the poll yet. That band is one of the best bands I have ever witnessed in a basketball arena setting. So Edward Waters, they don't have the numbers to compete outside on the football field, but get them in there in the basketball arena. They are one of the top when it comes to getting their basketball team hype.
Great point. Pep bands. Yeah, we'll see what we're going to do on the pep bands. We might bring that in, we might not. But I would say it must be something about Florida, Caribbean, and all those features there, because you talk about Bethune-Cookman, their pep band is off the charts as well. And then maybe it's the acoustics of those smaller type arenas. And then Florida Memorial, their pep band is strong too. Something about the state of Florida. Now, I'm not going to say anything about FAMU, and there's too much of the FAMU going on. So I'm just going to showcase the other ones. FAMU got to participate before they get some more love from
But when you're in a 10,000 seat arena, it's hard for the pep band to sound as good as it could, like it did back in Gaither when I was at FAMU. I'm just being real. When you're in a 10,000 seat arena with 1,000 people, I don't care how much the pep band blow, it don't sound good.
Yeah, it is different. It's something about that intimate facility in those smaller facilities, especially when the crowd gets there and gets upon you with the students around. They get to dance and doing their thing. That's why fans need to travel. One thing I want to add, Drew, that I like what you said, particularly in the SWAC. You play 4 home games. You play 8 teams. Basically, you have 6 teams, right, in each division. So you can split it up where you have your classics. That doesn't count. But you can guarantee 2 home games, 2 road games. That means you can have at least 2 of your games where you know you're going to have your band there to support if they take 2 road trips. And I don't think that's much to ask for, especially if you coordinate it where it's in divisions, which means the trips will be shorter. Now, if you want to go an additional trip for whatever reason to one of the teams in the opposite division, you can add that on. But if you created a framework where you essentially mandated, that would guarantee teams in terms of their home games would have 2 bands, and think what that may do with attendance, even taking it to the next level. So great point, AD Drew. I've always thought about that, and we kind of played around with it. I'm going to put it out there since you put it on the table officially. Let's look at that as we move forward. Let's take our second break. We'll be right back on the other side. We'll get into some of the mid-majors, which means we're going to look at the SIAC, the CIAA. We'll come back for our last segment. We'll get into the MEAC and SWAC for some of these games of the week with these big-time matchups. They have conference implications on the line, so we'll see what's going on there. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have the professors in the building. That's Professor Carter, Professor Drew, Professor Bishop. As we get into some of these mix-ups, we're going to start with the mid-major division, CIAA. This is an intriguing matchup. It's a top 10 matchup. One side, you have potentially playoff implications. You still have the chance that maybe the Northern Division is up. Remember last week, we had the upset with Chowan defeating Virginia Union, knocking them down for the number 1 spot after the ranking. So you got number 2, Virginia Union Panthers, that at 8-1, 6-1. They're at their rival, number 7, Virginia State Trojans. That's Dr. Henry Frazier, the third coach, 6-3, 5-2 in this matchup. At home to close out the season. Be interesting to see what goes on here. Let me start with you, AD Drew. What do you think about this matchup in the Northern Division of the CIAA?
Well, for Virginia Union, this is a must win. They lost the game last week to Shawan. So right now they're currently sitting number 5 in Super Region 2. So if Virginia Union pulls this game off, which they will be the favorite going in, they will have a good opportunity to sit there. They'll probably start off on the road in round 1, but a loss here that not only ends the season for Virginia Union, it potentially puts Virginia State back in the mix where Virginia State may seek an 11th game. So there's a lot of moving parts around this game. Jada Byers, we know he set the single season rushing record there last week. Jada Byers still on pace to get 2,000 yards, but he loses that 11th game. So in order for him to get to 2,000 yards, they've got to get to the playoffs. Can Union get to the playoffs? Yes. Should Union get to the playoffs? Yes. But can Virginia State upset them? Hell yeah.
Wow.
Great point. Talking about Jada Byers is he's also in the hunt for that Harlan Hill. Excellent RC sports in terms of him breaking the ceiling, because we hadn't had an HBCU guy, hard to believe, that hadn't won the Harlan Hill, which is essentially a Heisman, if you would, in regards to Division II level. With that being said, I'm going to go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? I see you kind of, Drew had you think a little bit about what's up on the line of this matchup. Which way you going?
When you take a look at Virginia Union season, I mean, I would hate for it to end, on a downturn, because we had them number 1 pretty much all the way up until last week, until that loss to Shawan. And you would think that you would just have to ride Jada Byers' broad shoulders all the way through to try to get this victory against Virginia State. But Upton Bailey, he's a heck of a running back from Virginia State as well. So it's going to be tough on the road, but I expect Union to get it done considering everything that's on the line.
That's a good point that you got there. There's a lot on the line. So let's go to Mo Carter and let him tell us a little what he thoughts in terms of this mid-major matchup, CIAA.
Well,
You've
Doc,
heard both gentlemen talk about what's on the line. What are your thoughts?
Well, Doc, I'm just going to say this. It's a rivalry game. It's the end of the season. You throw all the records out there. I know I sound cliche as all outdoors, but y'all know how it is. We've seen a whole lot of teams come in with a lot of momentum, and then, boom, they play that rivalry game, and then all of a sudden, everything goes by the wayside. So at the end of the day, with this contest, the team that's going to win this or whatever, whether it's Virginia Union or Virginia State, they've got to be the one that's got to not only follow the game plan, but also, remain cool-headed and also play smart, because things get chippy in these rivalry games as well. So, and I'm not saying that either coach's staff would be like, hey, get under the skin or whatever. But sometimes players tend to do that and whatnot. And this could be that perfect situation coming up for, both of these teams in that scenario. And there's still a lot on the line from the D2 standpoint. AD Drew said it best, and especially, we making his contributions on his national stuff each and every week. So be a very, very interesting ordeal to see who comes out of this and how it impacts those postseason rankings that will really, really come into play for the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, big one. You talking about with those plays coming in there. Let's stick with you as we're going to go to the SIAC for the game of the week. We're going to spotlight the number 1 team, the new number 1 team, the Benedict Tigers at a 9-0, 7-0. Chennaberry coach down there got him going on. He goes on the road, Blythewood, South Carolina, Westwood High School, home of the Allen Yellow Jackets that are 4-5 on the season in terms of being eligible for the SIAC, but played a mixed schedule. Sticking with you, Mo Carter, what's your thoughts in terms of Benedict in this game? I don't think it's a contest, but it's important in terms of seeding, as you alluded to, for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Of course, I've been knowing Coach Chennaberry for a number of years, especially with him going back to his years being the OC under Coach Odoms when he was at Southern University. I think for Coach Berry and company, this is what they've got to do. They've got to go in there and basically get a big lead real quick. Let some of these younger guys play or whatever, because they've already sealed their side of the division. They're going to be playing Tuskegee in the SIAC championship on next weekend. So I feel that this is one of those games where they need to jump out early, play well, and then kind of rest some of those starters, because they're definitely going to need it that following week. But then at the same time, don't overlook this Allen squad, because Allen is a team that's chomping at the bit, like, here's our chance to try to show our worth against the best team in the league. So you don't want to overlook them. But if they want to go in there, when I say they, I mean Benedict, if they want to go in there or whatever and kind of show their worth, jump out on them early or whatever, and then kind of take away their will to win, so they can get ready for the SIAC championship the following week, which is the game in which I think they host this year, as a matter of fact.
They do.
Great point. Charles, I see you shaking your head. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got to jump out on them early, and no better way to do that than with a punishing running game. DeAndre Duhart coming off of a huge game last week over Clark on 13 carries, 217 yards. He broke off some big ones. So I look for Benedict to turn this thing over to him and let him run wild. Go ahead and sit those starters down, and the Fighting Tennis Berries go into the SIAC championship with a lot of momentum hosting.
Before I go to you, Drew, want to give an update. Big play to some degree, a fake punt, as it was 4th and 3, Alabama A&M, about midfield, just short of it, goes for a fake punt and gets the first down. Big hard run by the up back, looking like a fullback going through the hole to get it done. With that, AD, Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup between Benedict and Allen?
This Allen team is better than people think they are. They've lost a lot of close games. Let me get the nerd portion of this conversation out the way first. Allen is scoring 28 points per game. Benedict scores 33 points per game. Here's the difference. Benedict gives up 10 points a game. Allen gives up 29 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference in the game. Look,
I like it. I like your data points.
Yeah, that's your data point by Michael Washington. Here, for Benedict, it's real simple. Like Chittisberry says, he wants to go 1-0 for the week, wants to stay healthy, and he don't want to put anything on film for Tuskegee for their championship game. And probably the most important thing, he's trying to get some style points so he can impress that committee, so that they can close that gap on Delta State and hopefully take Delta State for their number 1 seed, as they are they currently sit at the number 2 seed in the region right now.
Great points. I like it both. Let's get into our last break. We'll come back on the other side and get into some major division games of the week. We're going to look at the MEAC and SWAC. We might even have time to give you some bonus games. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get right into it, gentlemen. Get into some of these big games this weekend, starting with the MEAC. MEAC game of the week is gonna take you back to Orangeburg. They had a big one a couple of weeks ago. Thought they were ready just to move right in and book their ticket to Atlanta. Well, Morgan State Bears surprised everybody and said not so fast. Had a major upset, major thumping of South Carolina State. So I guess the question is, can Number 9, Delaware State Hornets, 4-4, 1-2 on the season. Receiving votes of South Carolina State Bulldogs, 3-5, 1-1 on the season. Can the Bulldogs bounce back? Hornets also lost. Can they bounce back? Who wants to make sure they can at least stick in the race to some degree? Or can the Hornets kind of make the season make a huge statement against the Bulldogs? I'm going to go with you first, Bishop, because it looks like you may not know which direction to go. So I'm going to go with you and make us tell us.
Yeah, I was ready to go be all gung-ho with South Carolina State the rest of the way here in the MEAC, but last week put a halt to all of that. Homecoming. Delaware State coming in for homecoming, and Delaware State has actually been playing some great ball this past season. Come in 4-4, 1-2 in the MEAC. I gotta find some South Carolina State offense. I mean, this season it has been so inconsistent. It's been Shaq Davis or nothing. So I really need to see, whether South Carolina State can give me some offense. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Delaware State to get the win on the road. Still homecoming.
Yeah, and with the rankings, it's not even an upset, which just sounds crazy.
Right.
But I guess some people it would be an upset. With that being said, let me go to you, AD Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of Delaware State, South Carolina State match?
What would be interesting if Delaware State pulls this game off? And everybody will be scoreboard watching to see what happens in the Central Howard game. Central beats Howard. Delaware State beats South Carolina State. We could potentially have a 3-way tie at the end of the season for the BAC crown. Y'all know my word. I'm not going to say it right now, but y'all know the word I like to use. It has ish on the end, and it starts with BAC. But because the reason I say that is those teams will be favored in the remaining of the BAC schedule. So, yeah, that's going to be an important game for Delaware State. Even if South Carolina State wins that game, they still have Howard next week. So, everybody is scoreboard watching in Durham to see what happens in Durham, no matter what happens in this game. So, one eye on the scoreboard, one eye on the field.
AD Drew, quickly. So who do you got between that Howard and North Carolina Central? Since you brought it up, which direction you going? You don't have to break it down. Just tell me which direction you going.
Oh, you know I love my BAC, so I got to go with Central just so we can go ahead and start having those conversations. Because I need something to fill up my content on my Sunday show. So I need Central to win this game to give me some content.
I hear you. I hear you.
Par for the course.
Delaware State, South Carolina State matchup. I want to hear what you have to say. As AD Drew just wants chaos. He wants chaos.
I need content, man.
He chose violence.
Actually, I kind of agree with what AD is saying as well, because the way everything's playing out right now.
That's the Alabama in us.
I won't bias.
Yeah, the way everything is playing out right now, this MEAC scenario, whatever, almost reminds me of Wheel of Fortune, when we're basically just spinning the wheel to see who's going to be the best team each and every week.
Well, you got that.
Yeah, seriously. So with that being said, you literally have to scoreboard watch or whatever. I mean, I think Buddy Pugh and company, they took a rough one recently. So hopefully they're able to turn around and rebound or whatever with this. But you also go back and look at it like this, and it's funny. Jay Walker was making a big deal about this, how Howard is the number one team in the MEAC right now. And, say whatever you want, they actually are in that sense. So, yeah, I just want somebody in these final, 3-4 weeks to eventually, rise or whatever from the ashes. Or we could run into a situation like it was with the MEAC maybe about 6-7 years ago. We had that 4-way tie. Yeah, that 5-way tie.
It was 5-way.
Yeah, you had to go through the Sagarian rankings, I think it was.
Did nobody know they had that many tiebreakers?
So we could get there too if you want to and whatnot. So yeah, guys.
Good
I mean,
point.
quite frankly,
Mo, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this as you get in it, as you talk about that. as you finish up and give me who you got in this matchup, also tell me quickly who you got in North Carolina Central and the Howard matchup. According to Jay Walker, you got to give him credit. It's been a while. They are 2-0, so he doesn't know if they're going to lose, so he needs to take the momentum when he can. He doing that. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't blame it all. Whatever that situation.
I'm gonna steal it. I'm
gonna go ahead and say, give me South Carolina State or whatever, especially with it being homecoming. And as far as NC Central, I think they have enough in the bag to hold off and pick up a victory this week. But this is what literally the MEAC is. The true definition of this is why you play the games every week, because we can't predict nothing with this conference just in general. So with that being said, eventually somebody's going to rise from the ashes and get a champion. For the SWAC portion, we can't overlook that champion or whatever at the end of the year, like it's been happening in certain years or whatever. So, AD, get ready to have some more content this weekend, man.
Great. Sweat, we need to get it done. We got 2 games in here, so we're gonna make these quick. We're gonna go to the one in Texas first. Jackson State versus Texas Southern, top 10 matchup. Number 1 Jackson State Tigers, undefeated, 8-0, 5-0, vanquishing the rival in Southern last week, getting it done. But now they come to Houston, Big City Lights. Number 10 Texas Southern Tigers are 4-4, 3-2. They've woken up as well. Oddly enough, both of these teams have shut out Southern. But Coach McKenzie was very upfront and saying, hey, defensive-wise, different in terms of the quality defense Jackson State is playing versus what they playing. So still should be interested in the matchup. Mo, I saw you kind of squinting your eyes there, so I'm going to stick with you. What are your thoughts in terms of Jackson State and Tigers? Can Tigers even make it close?
I think the only way the Tigers make it close is if basically Andrew Body has a repeat performance of what he had last year against Alabama A&M, where he went tit for tat against Aquil Glass, who eventually went on to be the SWAC Player of the Year and also the HBCU Player of the Year. Obviously, Texas Southern's defense, they're okay for the most part or whatever when you look at stats-wise, but you know for sure that Jackson State defense, they're a juggernaut. So Body's got to make every throw, every play count or whatever, because Shadur Sanders and company really didn't even play a great game last week against Southern and still blew them out. So I think their best opportunity will be for Body literally to put basically the performance of his life together on Saturday and kind of keep that crowd into it as well, even though I don't know if it's going to be a more pro-Texas Southern crowd or a more pro-Jackson State crowd because of the way Jackson State's been traveling, and selling out stadiums. So it's going to be very interesting. But I would not be surprised that these 2 teams go well over the over this upcoming weekend.
Good point. AD Drew, what are your thoughts?
Look, we all know Shadur Sanders is probably the best quarterback in the SWAC, probably the best quarterback in HBCU football right now. But we've got to admit, Andrew Body is probably the best dual threat quarterback out there right now, where Shadur gets it done primarily with his arm. And I'm afraid with that Jackson State defense, they're going to take one of those threats away, and that being the running game that Andrew Body relies on to open things up for his teammates. Once they do that and made Andrew Body one-dimensional, his body may be sore by the time he gets done is what I'm looking at. Because when Jackson State makes you one-dimensional and they get to actually tee off on the quarterback, I saw it would happen to the green and orange. I've seen what those D-backs and the closing speed those D-backs have. So I've got to lean Jackson State until somebody shows me that they can put a chink in that Jackson State armor. I've got to say with the hot team right now.
Yeah, a lot of people would agree with you. They are just simply getting it done. Charles Bishop, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? The good thing is you get to do your thing on the sideline and you ain't got to travel. You get to sleep in your own bed.
I get to sleep in my own bed this weekend. Looking forward to waking up in my own bed on a Saturday. But I tell you what, Dr. Bill, I haven't seen a team go up and down the field. I keep saying it in week in, week out. I'm not sure if y'all seen this Jackson State defense. They're not giving up 10 points a game. So I don't. There's no over to be had. And Dennis Thurman, I trust. They make you one dimensional. They stop the run, and then they pin their ears back and come after. The blueprint never changes week to week, and I don't expect anything different this week. I will say, in Texas Southern's favor, they did a tremendous job last year. They were the one team that was able to put up 3 touchdowns in the first half against Jackson State last year. They were shut out in the second half, but this year's defense, it's otherworldly. We're talking about this Jackson State defense in terms of historic, one of the best defenses in Jackson State history. Jackson State's been playing football since 1911.
All right, we're up against it, but I wanted to get this in. One of the reasons I wanted both of you gentlemen on here is we had this matchup between schools that you all know a lot about. FAMU and Southern in Tallahassee, Bragg Memorial Stadium. Number 7 Southern Jaguars are 5-3, 3-2. At number 2 Florida A&M Rattlers 6-2, 4-1. So top 10 matchup. I'm gonna give the floor to you first, Mo Carter. Short analysis. What are your thoughts on this game?
All right, I'll keep this very, very short. For both Florida A&M and Southern University, you need a win to extend your season. Southern needs to win so they can stay in the race for the Western Division title. Don't control their own destiny anymore, but they get a little help and win out, they claim the West. Florida A&M, unless some miracle happens in which Jackson State loses 2 games or whatever, basically you're kind of shooting for other postseason things, which would be the FCS. But you got to win impressively down this stretch to kind of do the same thing you did last year and get an at-large in that scenario. Looking forward to a huge game down in Bragg Memorial Stadium. These 2 teams, you know, history-wise, don't like each other, and somebody's going to come away with a W. But the main focus is that a win will help this team extend their season, no matter if it's the Jaguars or the Rattlers.
Drew, again, break it down. No, we're up against it, so go ahead. Tell me what are your thoughts.
I'll make it quick. 2 of the potentially best offenses in the SWAC, but 2 of the most inconsistent offenses in the SWAC. One day you see these teams put up 35, 40, even up to 50 points, and then the next day they're struggling with 5 field goals in a game. So the question is, which of these teams' offenses will show up? Both of them have fairly good defenses. I just want to see whose offense actually shows up in Bragg Memorial Stadium on this particular Saturday. Whoever offense shows up will be the one that wins the game, because both these defenses are pretty stellar. Of course, nobody's Jackson State, but these 2 defenses are that next level below Jackson State.
Great point, Charles. You've seen both of these teams up close. One of them was early in the season. One of them was just this past weekend. With that being said, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup in Tallahassee this week?
Yeah, no other team.
The Jaguars and the Rattlers.
No other team playing better football. Not named Jackson State to Florida A&M. They do brag different in Bragg Stadium, and I'll have to go with the Florida A&M playing at home. Playing in Bragg Stadium is totally different atmosphere, and I expect for FAMU to get this win. They win at Bragg, not Miami, so I'll take that.
Before we get out of here, give you an update that some of the folks are getting ready to turn on as they're watching the Alabama A&M versus Valley. Valley at home scores first. They turn the ball over, but they get the turnover right back. Good passing play, and they just get in on 3rd down. So it's a big 3rd down conversion to get into the end zone instead of having to kick the field goal. So they go up 7-0 with 3:45 left in the first quarter. Should be interesting to watch as Delta Devils jump on the board first. That'll do it for us. Thank you for listening to Inside HBC Sports Pad. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the college HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Sitting in today is Mo Carter and A.D. Drew. Make sure you continue to watch Mo Carter on Fox 54 Sports up there in the Huntsville area, giving you all your news in terms of the regional highlights, all the sports around that area. A.D. Drew, obviously with Brian and A.D. as they do it with a Sunday wrap-up. Check them out as he continues to get it done. Also, check him out with his D2 poll. He'll be breaking down and give you some information. You start looking at those regional alignments. He'll give you some insights and things that can happen or what to expect, as well as you can check out the pregame show with Charles Bishop and Neely as they continue to get it done We'll be back on Sunday morning to give you a breakdown of what took place this weekend as we have an extended mix. Thursday night football, as you can check it out now with Alabama A&M and Valley, and expect you to turn it on, at least to keep it on. And then you get some Friday night lights here in Texas with Alcorn traveling to Prairie View. We talked about that on Tuesday in terms of that matchup. And then this Saturday, you come right here in the heart of Houston with Jackson State, the number 1 team coming into town to Houston to face the top 10 team in terms of the number 10, Texas Southern Tigers. Should be some interesting matchups as you got it all going on, and we'll cover and give you those updates again, as we say, on Saturday. So I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab, College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening, Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday, right here at 6 o'clock. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as KENYATTACAVIL. Dr. Kenyatta Cavil is DRKENYATTACAVIL. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Charles?
Horse.
Drew?
Let's go, Strolls. Lecture.
I like that too. Go Stroll. All right, Bo Carter, appreciate you. Dismiss.